So with ad week coming up, I wanted to just lay down some predictions, but mostly I'm going to predict what you're going to hear about, but I also want to predict what you're not going to hear about that you should be talking about. So we're going to hear, I think, a lot about video. Everybody's going to talk about that. What I really would like people to be talking about is what is the new model for content creation. When I was at my former employee, we launched media monetization, and the whole idea there was how do you turn media from a cost center into a profit center? And I don't think enough people are really realizing the transformation that's happening right now. At the end of the day, when I looked back across all of our media spending for the last 10 years, what I saw was that we were reaching a point of diminishing return earlier and earlier on our media investment, primarily because fragmentation. People have so many different options. So what it means is in the paid media world, we might no longer be able to buy the same amount of reach that we used to buy that could grow our business, which meant to me, unless we were going to increase our budgets exponentially, like the opportunities that consumers have are increasing exponentially, we had to figure out a new model in this space. And so what I went to is, can I make 10%? I think we need to be more aggressive in this space. Can I make 10% of my media money actually make me money back? Which did two things. One, it forced me to create content that was good enough that people were either willing to buy it or advertisers were willing to advertise around it. And then the other thing, it made me step back and think about myself truly as a publisher. Everybody will tell you they're a publisher, publisher. But really all they are is a brand that has a ton of money that they can make their logo really big and push content down the pipe. Publishers actually have to get paid for the content, so that put us. The other thing it allowed us to do was own the IP. So the fact that we own the IP, and you can come to the panel where we're talking about the Stride, Heaven Sent Jump. The fact that we own the IP meant that we could monetize it in vastly different ways. It also made me realize that so many marketers say they're brand, they are brand marketers. In reality, what they do is they create products that have a brand and they sell that product versus thinking about why can't you have Animal Crackers the movie? Why can't you have Sour Patch Kids the movie? Why don't you have Animal Crackers the theme park? Like if we really began to pick apart like real brand creators like Disney, how come that IP that we have, which is the brands that we've created that started with a product, how come we're not exploiting that IP in a bigger way? So nobody's really going to be talking about that, and that's what we're going to hear video. That's great, but that's the real conversation we need to have. You're going to hear a lot about bots. The fact of the matter is the messaging space is so humongously big that bots, to be limited to talking about bots, to me is such a small-minded approach. And what I want to see is how people are talking about how the messaging space is going to encompass every single aspect of the consumer journey, the communication platforms, creativity. What does creativity look like in a world where you can only send a message? And that's happening right now. What's the path to commerce? What is all those pieces that make up a rich ecosystem of a new communication platform look like? And by the way, it's not even new. It's 10 years old. And so what you're not going to hear is all the other pieces talked about, because everybody's going to be so focused on this shiny object that they call bots, which is the thing that's most annoying to me, because when they're focused on a shiny object, they're actually missing the trees through the forest. The next thing I think you're going to hear, you're not going to hear a lot about, which is the challenge that advertising has right now, which is the loss of talent. So at the end of the day, studies have shown that by 2030, talent will be the single biggest determinant of growth for an organization, bigger than infrastructure, energy, data, all those kind of things. And so for me, how do we really accelerate the conversation around talent? And more importantly, how do we get more talent that sits inside of large organizations to get outside of those four walls? How do we I was just with a couple of brand marketers, and I was blown away by how much they didn't know about what was happening in the space. And to me, that's so frustrating. And that's because too many organizations believe that if you're not sitting inside those four walls, then you're not working. Oh, how can you be working if you are? No, you're working even harder, because you have to do your day job, and you have to make sure that you're networking, meeting people, bringing ideas to life, thinking about things in a different way, seeing a different perspective, challenging yourself, versus being there and sitting inside of at your desk doing the exact same thing day in and day out and never growing and never learning. And so for me, we really need to transform the way we think about how we grow talent of this generation. And that's what's going to unlock growth for organizations. The organizations that can understand what the future of talent needs to look like and can become the place that's seen as the place that creates rock star talent are the people that are going to win. And so for me, those are the three things. You're not going to hear enough about talent. You're going to hear too much about bots and not enough about the total space around messaging. You're going to hear a lot about video, and you're not going to hear about how do we actually turn that into quality creation, which is media monetization and IP ownership. So you heard my predictions, or should I say anti-predictions, of what you're not going to hear, what you should be hearing about, and I'd love to hear what you think about it. So whether you agree, disagree, or whatever you want to say, let's talk about it.